Hello, it's Terence from Sofa Gamers here, and I thought I'd do a quick video on how we actually record our episodes. We've had a few messages from people saying that they really like the quality that we've got, and actually, we don't really do any post-processing or anything like that, so we can make a lot of videos very quickly. Me and Dan both work full time, so it's not like one of us is editing these videos or anything like that. So we have to kind of record it perfectly, as we don't really do any cutting afterwards, unless it's anything particularly bad, like the Sombra episode. We were having trouble actually getting into a level and having Sombra picked, so we had to start editing editing out the times where we couldn't pick Sombra as a character. So the first piece of software that we use that I definitely recommend is Fraps. So this is a screen recording piece of software. These are my settings here. You can pause the video and take a look at what we've got set up. But mainly the most important one is picking up your own microphone. So you've got to plug in your microphone first and then open Fraps, otherwise it doesn't pick up your headset after you've opened Fraps, if you've plugged it in afterwards. And recording the Windows 10 sounds, that's important for later on when we add Dan to the audio as well. So we need that turned on in order to get his Skype audio to appear in the save as well. And then all we do is we hit F8 and we start recording the game, and then when we finish an episode we hit F8 again, that stops it and saves it. From Fraps, we then start to look at the audio. So we use the volume mixer down here, and basically this shows all the different audio sources that are coming into your computer. So what we have to do is, when we're starting a new game, and at the very beginning when we were trying to get the levels right, we had to fiddle about with kind of what volume each source is being set to. So, for example, Dark Souls is set to about a 10 on this scale, while something like Shovel Knight we had set to about 1, just because the audio was so much louder than Dark Souls for some reason. So that's really important. Is we do a lot of kind of test videos just to check that our audio's level, as we don't want to be going into the audio files afterwards and trying to level everything back out again. So getting those levels right before we start a recording session is probably the most important bit. But once you've actually got the numbers set, everything saves. So once we've started again, we've got the levels right. All we do is we just connect everything up and away we go. The one big problem that we did have with Windows 10 was that it changed the volume of our microphones. So in some of our videos, you can hear my audio going completely down to nothing, where you can barely hear me, and then the volume goes right up to maximum, and I'm way too loud. This was a really weird problem to fix, and it actually took quite a while. I'll put a link in the description below, but we end up using something called NIRCMDC, which is basically, it's a series of files that you have to put in. It's a little program that you can run, and what it will do is, on a loop, it will set your microphone volume to a certain level. So what you have to do is edit a little config file here. This value here, I think, is the most important one. This actually determines what volume is. So I think that's 40 out of 100. So obviously, if you then did the maths on that to then set the volume that you need. So if you need 60, for example, you change this value and then it will set the volume to that level. I've turned it on, so if we open up Synapse, you can see if I set the volume, it just pings right back down again, because that's just the loop occurring to set the volume back down again. So if it ever does change, it just pings back down again. I don't know if there's a better way to fix this on Windows 10, but this was the best way that I could find. So what I ended up doing was turning it into a little script up here, so I can start it, and then another script to just stop it. And that just keeps my audio at one volume throughout the whole recording session. After we've actually got the capture, so Fraps has finished recording, the audio levels are all fine, we then put the video into a program called Handbrake, which the raw files are very big. We need to reduce those down before we upload them to YouTube. So here are my settings in here. So we do 1080p. I've got a special Sofa Gamers preset. Just pop through all the settings in here. Basically, we kept things. I think I just clicked on the high profile, and I think the only things that I changed were to do with the audio tracks. Maybe if we load a video in here, I know what I'm doing. So we'll put one of our Dark Souls videos in. That's better. There we go. So that's 1080p. Filters, video source, and something we also noticed was that actually when our videos, the audio seemed fine on my computer, but once we actually put it up to YouTube, the volume seemed really low. So if you show in here, there's a gain in here. So I put a gain of 10 on, and that just ups the audio for the whole video, which has made it sound a lot better in YouTube once it's actually finally uploaded. No subtitles, only the one chapter. So this is then, you add this to a queue and you can start it, and that'll actually start rendering the video out into a much smaller format. So once it's finished, we then get in here. So these are raw files here. So you can see they're just under 30 gig for a 13-minute episode. Yeah, 13-minute episode. And then when it comes out the other end of Handbrake, it comes out about 1 gig. So it's a lot less to upload. And it just kind of flattens everything down and just makes things a bit easier when it comes to putting it onto YouTube. Once it's on YouTube, if we do need to do any editing, we use YouTube's built-in editor. It's simple to use, and we don't really do that much to our videos. We try not to do anything at all if possible. The only other thing is adding Dan to it. So this was another thing that we had a big problem with. We were using Skype to get Dan's audio in because he doesn't, when we record, he isn't in the same room as me. So we use Skype. That again, we use the volume mixer to then make sure that his volume's roughly the same as mine, so neither of us are too loud. And then we use GeForce Experience. So when you're in here, if you go to your profile and go to the settings, you have to turn on Allow Experimental Features. And then if you hit the share button, I'm recording now using this, you then get the option to stream. So using this stream, it allows us to get this kind of one-to-one stream of video of the game that we're playing over to Dan, so he can see what I'm playing at the same time as I'm playing it, but it also allows him to play as well. So when he's playing, he's actually playing on his computer at home using GeForce Experience to actually control the game that's being run on my computer. That piece of software tends to be the thing that gives us the most headaches as well. So whenever there's a driver update, sometimes it will work straight away. Other times you have to completely uninstall GeForce Experience and reinstall it, and then suddenly it just comes back to life again. But that's we had a lot of trouble with that because basically when we were doing the Overwatch videos, we were streaming them onto YouTube live, and then setting them to be private so that nobody could watch them as we were recording. And then he was watching the stream, but the problem was that the stream was about 5 seconds out, so whenever he was reacting to things, it was kind of 5 seconds after I'd done it. We tried other things like Steam streaming. I think we tried to use screen sharing software and things like that, any kind of remote assistance software, and none of them, you couldn't get the delay anything below about 10 seconds. But this thing seems to work perfectly. It's completely live. And that's basically it. Once we do the sharing, he can control Fraps as well. So actually, his keyboard, he can start the recording session and turn it off as well if he's in control. And that's all we do. We do a countdown. We start recording. One of us has a timer to make sure that we're roughly around 10-15 minutes. And then when we finish, we end the episode, and we then just start another one. We usually do 1 to 2 recording sessions a week, and we usually do about an hour at a time, so we tend to get about 4 or 5 episodes per session, and that's what allows us to do kind of a video a day, because all we do is we bulk process 4 or 5 videos and then put them straight onto YouTube. We schedule them in one after the other, and we try to keep about a week, 2 weeks ahead. But yeah, that's how we do everything. I'll put the links to all the software in the description below. I think the only thing that we had to pay for was Fraps. Everything else was free. So Fraps is about £20. I say we don't have the money to do any kind of expensive post-processing software and things like that. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.